Hello, all. Oh man, what a day. Golly, my ride home was so interesting from work. I have to tell you, my local law enforcement and my local officials, they're all very interesting. It's like, bruh, gal, don't tell on yourself. You know? Don't make things awkward. They don't have to be awkward. I ain't judging you. Don't judge me. I have no criminal record. Never once have I never. You know, this is what's so crazy about this whole transpiring of these events. It's like just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It just goes to show you it's all about who you know, what you're associated with, and who you can pay. And if so-and-so and so-and-so says so-and-so, then we must believe so-and-so because they said it's so. And so it must be so. And it's like, you guys are ridiculous. You're ridiculous. At that point, you're just playing God, and you're not God in my life, and I just refuse it. I was telling my coworker today at work, I was like, you know, when I worked at my second property management company in 2024, it was really eye-opening to me with the experiences that I faced there versus the experiences that I faced at my first property management company that I worked at, that I was there for like 8.5 years. And all of this really, just the whole transpiring of events in my life have been all but normal, right? But what is normal at this point? A normal meal is a piece of chicken, a piece of broccoli, a tortilla, and one other item. So that is the new normal. The economy is great. Just grab that for a meal. A mealsies, right? And so this is the new norm. We're not in Hunger Games, no. So it's like, but there was just so many things that really opened up my eyes at the second company, property management company that I worked at. And so I was sharing with him some of my experiences that I faced on the road on my way home, because I had an hour and a half commute every day because I had a 2-year non-compete from my first company. And so it was one of those things where when you're somebody that picks up on patterns and synchronicities and just the events and the routine of things and the abnormalities of things, like you can just see things very quickly. You pick up on things. And that's something that I've carried my whole life. I've just been quiet about it. I've learned in the 41 years on this earth, like, there's just a time and place to use your voice, and there's a time and place to not use your voice, because we live in a world that deserves to hear you, in a world that just refuses to listen to you. So why use your voice in certain situations when it's just a waste of time, space, and energy? Because they're never going to pick up the words you're putting down, because at the beginning of the conversation, they've already made up their mind, and you're always going to be wrong. So it's just pointless to exert your energy. And I learned that at a very young age. And so I've been very trained for this in my little course of events in my life, that God has really helped me learn how to use my voice when it's time to use it, and bring it back when it's time to use it. Play dumb when it's time to play dumb. Play the fool when it's time to play the fool, and observe when it's time to observe. And that's just the reality of it. I can't help the choices that people have made around me. I'm one of those people that I've always adapted to my reality. I've adapted to my surroundings. I've adapted to hardships, obstacles, illusions. Like I adapt. It's okay. I can get through it because I know I have God on my side. And so I'm not worried about it. And I'm walking through it for a reason, because God has me here for a reason. And so that's the way my mentality has been the last few years, right? But that's kind of been my course of my life. I'm a non-confrontational person. I don't like confrontation. I stand up when it's time to stand up, and I sit down when it's time to sit down. I take a breath when I need to take a breath. And so when I'm met in circumstances that have adversity and have the misuse of control and power in the badge, you're not going to hit me with trying to make me feel some sort of way because you carry a badge, you carry a power, but you're not carrying it with honor. You're not carrying it with honor. You're not carrying it with integrity. You're not carrying it with grace. So it's like, if I met with this in a circumstance with someone that has a badge or this and that or whatever, and yet you're choosing to operate in this, you've lost my respect. You've lost my respect. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to disrespect you by any means. But I'm also not going to go out of my way to meet you where you're at. I'm just going to ignore you. I'm going to ignore you. That makes logical sense. It just does. I mean, again, I know my adoptive thinking is different. I know that I'm very different. I've been different my whole life. That's why I've had looking glasses on me a very good portion of my life. And I've had a lot of unique players in my life, to say the least. But like I told my coworker, when I started picking up on synchronicities of the events of the cars, what followed me, the signs, the hand signals, all this stuff, being ran off the road, all this stuff, I was like, okay, Amanda, things are getting weird. You're in a real scenario. Everything that you felt is real. And so let's start digging deep in what's going on, and let's take control of the surroundings that you're in. And so that's when things really kind of opened up to me, and recognizing how big this whole thing is, that I knew something around me was transpiring, but I wasn't quite understanding the severity and the magnitude of it until that portion of my life when I worked at my second property management company. And things really opened up to me in my mind. And it opened up in my mind when it came to the friendships that I carried at the time, the conversations that I had, which I no longer talk to anybody anymore. But I'm just saying, there was so many different determining factors that I'm like, okay, this piece to this, no. And when you recognize that you live in a false reality and everybody's playing their part and playing their hand in whatever way they're paid to play, I guess, right? It's just something that you're not going to understand the back end of it, because you're not designed to understand the back end of some things. You're designed to understand yourself and how to operate in whatever it is you're operating in the reality that you're operating in, because we all are operating in a reality, and we think we don't have control of our reality, but you always do have control of your reality. They want you to think you don't have control, but I'm here to tell you, you do, because look at me and the reality that follows me and has for quite some time. I have control of it, not them. They do not. And it's one of those things where I'm at a place in my life. It's like, I know that I've walked through certain experiences. I know that certain things have happened to me. I know that unlawful things have transpired around me and towards me. I know these things. I remember them verbatim. So because so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so says they didn't, I don't care. I know what I know because it's my experience. I'm not going to allow somebody to tell me what I experienced when I know what I experienced. Period. I don't care who you are. I do not care who you are. That's where I'm at in my life. Because I'm so exhausted of people trying to diminish and demolish what people go through in this little web we weave called the world, matrix, whatever, and say, no, that didn't happen. No, it did happen. Okay, it did happen. People are strange. People are weird, and they make really strange decisions to do really illegal activities. People do those things. I don't know why they do. I've never been on that side, so I'm never going to understand why. But I do know that they do, because I've experienced it. And I'll be dang if I allow somebody to tell me that I didn't go through these experiences. These things didn't happen. These conversations weren't had. These situations weren't had. These scenarios didn't transpire around you intentionally. Yeah, no, they did. They did actually happen. And I remember them very vividly. I do very much so. So no, actually, you're wrong and I'm right. And maybe you shouldn't have put yourself in a position where you were creating all this madness. Maybe you should have started there. Maybe you should start with actually doing your job properly, honorably. I don't know. There's a start. Do it with integrity. Stand on morals, values. Do the right thing. Be a good person. Be on the side of not corruption. Let's start there. Let's start there. Let's quit hiding cover-ups. Let's quit hiding pedophilia. I mean, these are all food for thought. But see, we live in a world where no, we're not. So